if we're at 28 or anywhere near it, and we're at 50% with Hispanic, and the poll shows we're higher, just cancel the election. Just say Trump wins automatically, because that's a whole... Now, they're going to say, see, now when I say that, you know, we have fun, we're laughing and kidding, but when I say that, he's a fascist. He announced tonight he wants to cancel the election. They actually had, you know, when I imitate Biden, you can't find his way off a stage. You can't put two sentences together, right? Can't put two sentences together. Here's a teleprompter. He doesn't know where the hell the teleprompter's there. And the nice part about me, I only use the teleprompter. The average, I think they say it averages about 9%. Wouldn't it be nice if you had a guy that didn't really need the teleprompter? Isn't that nice, though? Isn't that nice? But, you know, the dangerous thing I have, Al and Steve, is when I joke a little bit. You know, we got to joke. The country's in such trouble. If you don't have a sense of humor, we'd never get by. But you got to sort of make a little bit of fun. And I sort of imitate his speaking, and I go, bye-bye. He has no idea where the hell he is, right? Or I'll show him where he can't find the stairs. Now, we have a stair there, we have a stair there, we have one here, we have one here. They're all over the place. And he can never find this. I think Secret Service says, you always have this young, handsome guy run onto the stage, grab his arm, and pretend like it's normal to be doing that, right? But the biggest thing is, when I do it, they sometimes put me on, and they say Trump couldn't find his way off the stage, because they are the most dishonest people on earth, other than guys like Adam Schiff and, you know, Shifty Pencil Neck. Pencil Neck. He's a marvel. No, he's a structural marvel. He has a neck, and his head is like a watermelon, and his neck. And how that neck can hold up that big, oversized, ugly head is hard to believe. No, it's true. It's true. Big head. It's like your finger on a basketball. Some of these guys, they spin it. No, he's a terrible guy. Think of it. Think of this, Schiff. So they make up the Russia hoax. It's a, you know, and by this time it was found out, and blah, blah, blah. Everyone knows it's a hoax, a scam. And, you know, it was originally used as a one-day deal to show that Hillary Clinton lost because of Russia, because they were embarrassed, because they weren't supposed to lose, but they lost. And so they made up this that it was Russia. I said, Russia? What the hell did Russia have to do with it? And I meant that. So then it got carried away. It ended up being 2.5 years, because it got picked up by the fake news. They knew it was a scam. Got picked up by the... But think of it. Adam Schiff made it up, along with Hillary Clinton and some others, DNC, Democrats. And they made up this scam. Dangerous scam. Very dangerous. Amazing that, you know, fortunately I knew Putin very well, and we had a little bit of a relationship going. He couldn't believe. He said, what the hell is going on with your country? They make up this scam, and then he comes out of a room. So he knows it's made up, and he has a news conference with a lot of press, and I'm watching this, and he goes, Donald Trump Jr. will go to prison because of what he did with Russia. Now, talking about my son is going to go to prison because of something they know is a total hoax. It's not like they believed it was maybe true. They knew it was, because they made it up. It was a scam. It was written. No, think of it. And he's saying, think of it, you have a son. And I called up my son. I said, are you okay? He says, yeah, I don't know anything about Russia. What's going on? He knew nothing about Russia. This guy in the fourth row right here, he knows more about Russia than my son knew. But think how bad you have to be as a person to do that. So he's got a scam. They know it's a scam. It's a made-up story to try and justify why she lost, okay? She lost because she had no personality. She lost for a lot of reasons. No, they said she's... Well, that too, I would say this. She's evil. That's interesting. But what kind of a human being would say we're going to put somebody in prison because of something that we made up that we know is a phony thing? Bad people, right, Steve? Bad people, you know? They're bad people.
Does the gentleman from Ohio seek recognition?
Just right last word, Mr. Chairman. So the previous speaker just talked about we're trying to hijack the hearing, and why do we focus on school boards because it's so darn important. Never forget, when the Attorney General sat in front of this committee, the very first sentence in his memorandum, we asked him about this. We said, here's what his memorandum says. In recent months, there's been a disturbing spike in harassment, intimidation, threats of violence against school administrators, board members, teachers, and staff. We asked him, what was the evidence for you making the very first sentence in your memo? What was the evidence for that? What did he say? He said the School Board Association letter. The letter that they've now apologized for and regret ever having sent it. And here's what that letter said. Sometimes you got to look at the facts. You got to look at what they said. The National School Board Association requests a joint expedited review by the Departments of Justice, Education, and Homeland Security. Interesting, 2 of those agencies are in this legislation, along with the appropriate training, coordination, investigation, enforcement mechanisms from the FBI, including any technical assistance necessary from state and local coordination with its National Security Branch and Counterterrorism Division. That's what this bill does. Exactly what the School Boards Association asked to be done is what this legislation does. And it was this letter that the Attorney General used as the basis for his memorandum, which they've apologized for and said this wasn't accurate. Here's what this letter said, too. It talked about four acts of violence they cite in this letter. One of them was the Loudoun County situation, which our colleague, Mr. Roy, has talked about, which was justified, frankly. Those were in 14,000 school boards around the country, 4, and one of them was one where the parent was justifiably upset. Right, Mr. Roy? So that's why we're focusing on this, and all we're asking is for the Attorney General of the United States to rescind that memo. Take it back. And we're asking the chairman to have him come in and testify and answer some questions we have, and frankly, a lot of parents around the country have, because we now know there's a threat tag associated with some parents' names across the country. That's what this is about. This is about the facts. So the very document that they've apologized for, the letter that started this thing, this whole process, that they've apologized for and taken back, that language is exactly what this bill does. Somehow that's hijacking a hearing. I think that's doing what the people that I represent want me to do. So the gentleman from Florida, his comments were right on target earlier. This is not just about giving more authority to the Justice Department to go after parents. This is doing exactly what the School Board Association asked them to do. That's why we don't want to vote for this thing. That's why this is wrong. And I hope this thing doesn't pass. Would yield to the
gentleman. Yield for a question.
Yield to the gentleman from North Carolina.
And the School Board Association letter itself invoked the terminology domestic terrorism, didn't it?
Sure did.
So doesn't that beg the question? What is it that the majority means when they're talking about domestic terrorism and turning the power of federal law enforcement against domestic terrorism? Do they mean school parents of school children, or do they mean something else? I yield back to the gentleman.
I think a great point, and even more specific, they referenced the Patriot Act. In fact, I would ask for unanimous consent to enter into the record former Chairman Sensenbrenner's piece in the Wall Street Journal, where he says the Patriot Act was never intended to go after moms and dads, never intended to go after. It was for dealing with foreign terrorists trying to do harm to our country. I would ask unanimous consent that be entered into the record. And with that, I would yield back the balance of my time.
Without objection, the gentleman yields back.